Hello, welcome again to Entangled Observations. In this video, I just want to discuss the prohibition against chips being sent to China and how I think that might actually be a mistake. And it's not for the reasons that you think. What I'm going to suggest here is that by forcing China to develop its own technology and its own chips, you're kind of opening up a Pandora's box for new discoveries that may actually be more significant. It's entirely possible. So hear me out. Most scientific breakthroughs are through rigorous research and the hard work of good scientists and using the scientific method. And they do their engineering and so forth. But through the process, they come and they make discoveries about processes or events, things, the way materials behave and interact that they didn't know and couldn't have predicted. I would term these as accidental, and I don't see any shame in that and calling it accidental, because without their knowledge and their rigor and their understanding of the scientific steps required to come to these discoveries, they wouldn't happen. I'm not about to make any of these discoveries, for example. So accidental though they may be, it still requires all of their knowledge and all of their training to make these discoveries. So I'm not taking anything away from them by suggesting that oftentimes they're accidental. All I mean is that they weren't predicted. And the reason they weren't predicted is because we know a lot, but we don't know everything. Far from it. We know a lot, but there's a lot more to learn. What we know is just a drop in the ocean of things that could be known. So that being said, if you take away the technology from China, say, and you force them to go on their own road and to start developing things themselves, they're going to make accidental discoveries that we don't know about. I'll give you some examples. In 1947, there was the point contact transistor. John Bardeen and Walter Brayton were building a field effect device, but it kept failing. And then in frustration, they tried a different approach with two gold contacts very close together on a germanium. And the resulting amplification was unexpected and not fully understood initially. They'd stumbled upon a point contact transistor. It's like what I'm saying here is that they stumbled upon it. And so in my interpretation of that is that would be accidental. And, we could get into an argument of semantics here. But different experiments are likely to discover different things. And the reason I call it an accident is because if there's an intersection and a car comes through it unexpectedly, does it cause a discovery or does it cause an accident? And so unexpected things are, in my humble opinion, accidents. Silicon dioxide is a perfect insulator. Silicon naturally forms an extremely stable, high-quality oxide layer when exposed to oxygen. This wasn't predicted to be as useful as it turned out. It became crucial for MOSFETs and insulating layers in ICs. Germanium's oxide, by contrast, is unstable and water-soluble, and that discovery helped silicon win out. Planar process side benefits, 1959, was developed to protect transistors with an oxide layer. It unexpectedly made photolithography much more reliable and enabled much better component isolation. The flat surface it created turned out to be far more important for mass production than initially realized. Zone refining discovery, 1950s. William Fan at Bell Labs discovered that slowly moving a molten zone through a material could purify it to unprecedented levels. This technique, which enabled ultra-pure semiconductor crystals, came from experimenting with crystallization methods. The thyristor SCR effect. While studying transistor behavior, researchers accidentally created 4-layer PNPN structures. These showed unexpected switch properties, leading to a whole new class of devices. So these are some very early examples of breakthroughs that were, by my definition, accidental. And by not allowing an opponent to have access to this technology, you're sort of forcing them to make their own discoveries. And they may discover things that you have never imagined. They may discover qualities about elements and materials that we don't know, because there's more we don't know than there is that we do know. That's what I mean by it opens up a Pandora's box, and it may be a mistake. I saw an interview, and I believe it was with an engineer from Intel, and he had mentioned that the reason that Intel chips were so good was because they had made some discoveries that were unexpected, i.e. accidental. And if they hadn't made those, the chips would never have progressed as well as they had. Now, unfortunately, I don't remember where I saw this interview, and I don't have the source for it. But it leads me to suspect that this is still going on, and that there are a lot of trade secrets in the industry that aren't being disclosed, probably haven't even been patented, that we don't know about. And it could be, like we see with China now, they're saying, well, no, we don't want your chips anymore. It could be because they've already made some discoveries and they're finding out exactly what I'm talking about. By redoing their own research, they're making their own discoveries, and they may easily end up ahead because of it. There are also any number of trade secrets that a company would keep to itself and sort of locked up in a vault. Things that maybe are difficult to write down in a patent, things that maybe you wouldn't want to patent because patents only last a number of years and then they're given up. And by not patenting them, you can hang on to them longer. There's any number of reasons. And there are lots of reasons that we wouldn't know that some processes were accidental. It turns out a great many things that we learn through science are actually, by my definition, accidental. That is, a prediction was made, but something completely different happened, something unexpected, and so a new discovery was made that way. Now, that isn't, again, like I say, to take anything away from science or the scientists that are doing this work. It's just because of there being more things to know than we know. And as a result, of course that's going to happen. But the skill and the knowledge required to do that is still immense. And I don't mean to suggest that it isn't. And I don't mean to suggest that by any means all scientific breakthroughs are accidental. I just mean a good many are. And so by forcing another nation to do their own work and to do their own experiments is, in my opinion, really playing with fire. All right, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I hope you'll leave a like and you'll remember to subscribe and ring the bell and all that good stuff, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Take care. Bye.